Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to provide a quick update of how my Monzo investment account is performing, of course using Monzo's app. At the start of November, I begun my Monzo investing journey, investing £100 a month in their adventurous fund, and I plan to do regular monthly video updates of how my portfolio is performing on this YouTube channel, like I do with my main portfolio with Invest Engine. But before we get into that, I want to answer a question a few of you asked after my last Monzo update, and that was, why are you only investing £100 a month? Is it worth investing £100 a month? The reason why I'm only investing £100 in this portfolio is because I want to show that investing isn't only for those with the big bucks and investing the big bucks. You can get started with a much smaller and maybe more achievable amount for some people in £100 a month and still make a good return over the long term thanks to the power of the compound effect. The compound effect means you make returns on your returns. And let's use my £100 portfolio as an example and plug some numbers in a compound calculator just to show the compound effect and how you can make a good return over the long term. So if we bring up a compound calculator, and let's say the initial investment is £300, as that's near enough where my portfolio is at the moment. Let's say the return on get each year is 8%, as that's a good average for how the stock market, at least the American stock market, has performed over the last 20 or so years. Let's say I'm going to leave it there for 25 years, and let's continue with the £100 a month deposits. So let's see how much my portfolio will be worth in 25 years. And we can see here the portfolio will be worth nearly 100k just if I continue doing £100 a month in deposits. So this shows the power of the compound effect, as I only made £30,000 in additional deposits. It was the compound effect which led to the significant growth. As we can see, total interest earned was 67k. And this example shows why investing even a smaller amount such as £100 a month is worth it, as you can make significant growth on your initial deposits. And if we change this example slightly, and let's say you increase your annual deposit by 10% every year, you get a pay rise of 10% every year, or you just find somewhere in your budget where you can cut down on expenses and add a bit more to your investments. So let's say you increase your deposit by 10% each year, and if we do this, we can see the investment value would then be worth over 250k. So this again shows the power of investing, and again we can see the compound effect with over 139k coming from investment growth. So hopefully this example shows that even investing smaller amounts such as £100 a month can still be worthwhile in the long term thanks to the compound effect. And now we know this, let's get into the video. If you're new to the channel, I'm Alex, a management consultant by day, and on this channel we like to talk about all things finance with particular focus on how to grow your money. If you'd like to follow my own personal finance journey with regular video updates of my Monzo and Invest Engine portfolios, as well as a bunch of other personal finance related videos, then I'd greatly appreciate a subscribe. But for this video, let's get into it, and let's start off by having a look at how the general market has performed over the last month, as this will provide a reference point then for my own Monzo portfolio performance. And let's start off by having a look at how the American stock market has performed, and a good gauge for this, a good measure for this, is by looking at the S&P 500, which measures 500 very large American companies and their performance. And we can see over the last month, this index was up by 5.12%. So a very good month for the American stock market. And there's clear reasons for this, which we'll come on to slightly later on. If we bring it a little bit closer to home and look at how the UK stock market has performed by taking a look at the FTSE 100, the main index in the UK, we can see that the UK also had a good month. The FTSE was up by 4.24% over the last month. And the reasons why the UK and US stock markets have been performing well over the past month are very similar. And it's similar reasons to much of the market movements over the last year. It's to do with interest rates, it's to do with inflation. Over the last month, we've seen falling inflation continue in the US and the UK. In the US, the inflation rate is currently 3.14% at the time of recording, so it's getting closer to the Federal Reserve's 2% target rate. And in the UK, we saw the inflation rate drop significantly over the last month from 4.6% to 3.9%. So we're not as close as the US to that 2% target figure. However, we're seeing inflation fall at a very good pace. And falling inflation in the US and UK is good news for the stock market as it piles pressure on the central banks in the UK and the US to stop interest rate hikes, and to think about bringing interest rates down, as the main reason why central banks have been increasing interest rates and keeping them very high is to try and control inflation and bring it back down to that 2% target level. So the fact that inflation is falling and getting closer to that 2% level means that central banks don't necessarily need to increase rates again and may start thinking about bringing interest rates down. In fact, this was a key reason why we've seen very good performance in the stock market, particularly in the US, as we've had our clearest signal yet that the Federal Reserve, who control interest rates in the US, have begun thinking about rate cuts, as Jerome Powell stated on the 13th of December that we can expect to see rate cuts in 2024. And the Fed has stated that they expect to see 3 rate cuts equating to a total of 0.75% in 2024. This is absolutely huge as it sets a pathway for rate cuts and hopefully a low interest rate environment in the future years. And a low interest rate environment is good for the stock market. So now we know it's been a good month for the market, let's take a look at how my Monzo investment account has performed using their app. And we can see that my Monzo investment account is now up by 4.04% in percentage terms and £12.12 in pound terms. And the total balance is £312.12. So good performance, and a lot of this performance has come down to the market factors we just talked about, as this investment account is entirely invested in shares. So if we click on view details and what the fund is invested in, I'm invested in the Adventurous Fund, which is 100% invested in shares and mostly invested in North American shares. In fact, it's over 55% invested in North American shares. So because the S&P has done well over the last month for the reasons we talked about with interest rates and inflation, there's no surprise that the Adventurous Fund has also done well, given that it's mainly exposed to North American equities. And if we flip back to the main investment screen and use the graph at the top here, we can see how the investment value has evolved over the past month. And we can see at the end of November and start of December, the investment value was quite stagnant until the news came from the Federal Reserve regarding the future interest rate policy. And after this point, we saw a jump in the value of the investment. And then at the end of December, my usual £100 deposit came in, and now we're sitting at a balance of £312.12. So overall, I'm happy with how my Monzo investment account has performed over the last month, and I'm quite looking forward to seeing how it performs in 2024. I'm going to continue with my plan of investing £100 a month in the Adventurous Fund, and I might increase that monthly deposit some point over the next year. If you're new to Monzo Investments and want to find out how to start your Monzo investing journey, I have a video for this. You'll be able to find it somewhere around here. But for this video, thanks for watching.